Do you love escort missions? You know, the worst part of a video game typically, where you have to protect an NPC with such terrible survival instincts that you could honestly mistake them for being suicidal? No? Well, too bad, because that's who we're covering today, because I'm Ian, and this is the Streets of Rogue character guide to the Bouncer.
No! God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
The Bouncer is acquired from the Character Pack DLC, meaning you'll need to pay extra if you wish to play as them. As for their backstory, it reads, the Bouncer has finally hit pay dirt, having been hired by a major record label to escort one of their biggest stars to Mayor Village. Unfortunately, the pair have gotten off on the wrong foot, following a heated argument about whether Numetal is dead or just hibernating. This resulted in the Bouncer picking up a cookie and threatening to do something very vulgar with it, bizkick style. As for your starting array, your endurance is maxed out at 4 with your speed set to an average of 2 and your other attributes set to an above average of 3, which pairs nicely with your special ability, Stomp. This special ability lets you sacrifice 8 HP to stun NPCs around you. Better yet, your no infighting trait means that friendly fire will not be a factor you need to consider whenever you decide to use this ability. You also have the tank-like trait, which reduces the knockback you receive from all sources. Additionally, you have disturbing facial expressions, meaning NPCs are more likely to run in fear from you whenever a fight starts against you. In addition, you also have the kneecapper trait, which adds a small chance to inflict a slow debuff whenever you hit someone with an attack. Your last trait is Bodyguard. This is what makes your character become a glorified escort mission, as it causes you to have to deal with a musician that will spawn next to you on each floor, and you will be forced to babysit them and occasionally do stuff for them like find a bathroom or take them to a local drug dealer to alleviate themselves. Whenever you do what your musician demands, he will occasionally reward you with thematic bonuses, such as extra money from the ATM for yourself or drugs from the drug dealer. Considering that fulfilling these requests results in you having a chance to get some powerful items like gigantizers on occasion, and refusing to do them wholesale will result in the musician friend ditching you altogether and running off to whatever they wanted to find in the first place, often with no regard for their own personal safety as they cross train tracks without checking to see if there's a train coming, going through gang war zones as they're shooting each other, or just a zombie outbreak. Yeah, you heard me right. This musician will run through a zombie horde to get to the local bar so he can have a drink, just because you refuse to take him there due to the aforementioned zombie outbreak. And this can be a huge issue since not only do you need to keep this guy alive for your big quest, but your electro tether vest, which cannot be removed from your inventory, will cause you to take damage over time if you stray too far away from this idiot. This means if either of you two try to ditch the other to get what they want done, this will result in you taking damage over time. And bear in mind that the electro tether vest only keeps track of how far away you are from the musician. It does not keep track of things like whether or not the musician is alive in the first place. This means in the event of the musician being killed, you'll have to stay within a certain proximity of the corpse in order to ensure that the electro tether vest doesn't hurt you. Thankfully, your blood transfusion kit lets you sacrifice your own HP in order to heal the musician you've been charged to keep alive. You can even resuscitate them from the dead with this item, at the cost of your own health. You can also give your musician friend various weapons and armor to help keep them alive for longer so you don't need to do this as much. You even start with a baseball bat in your starting inventory, so keeping them armed should be relatively easy if you have a steady money supply and access to a loadout machine. The last item in your starting inventory is a mini fridge. This makes it so you'll heal more HP from consuming food items, something that is not in your starting inventory but usually pretty easy to acquire. With the basics now covered, let's move on to the difficult part of this character, your big quest. Your big quest is appropriately named Bodyguarding. In this quest, you must keep your musician coworker alive. If you manage to beat the floor without him being killed, you'll get some bonus XP, and if you manage to reach the mayor's village having had him die less than 20 times in total, you'll get an upgrade to your Stomp ability, enhancing its area of effect while also reducing the recoil damage you inflict when using it. During the first few attempts I made whilst recording for this video, I made the mistake of trying to go for an election victory. I did this because it's actually possible to get people allied with you simply because if they see your musician friend, NPCs have a random chance of becoming allied towards you and following you around for the rest of the floor. And while this is extremely beneficial towards the purposes of your big quest, it's not enough to make up for the fact that using a cloning machine is impossible without certain augmentations. This is because the musician friend of yours counts as a follower, meaning unless you have some sort of trait that enhances the number of followers you can get, which you don't at game start, you will be unable to use cloning machines to enhance your numbers in order to swing elections in your favor. This means in order to get an election victory as the bouncer, you are extremely reliant on getting the exact traits you need upon leveling up. Combine this with the fact that the money you'll be spending on buying everyone rounds at the bar or to pay the Mafia to swing the election in your favor would be better spent using it on healing items to keep you and your musician friend alive, as well as the fact that the more time you spend lingering on any given floor increases the chances of your musician friend demanding you to do something unreasonable that results in them getting killed, and you'll quickly realize that the best approach to take when trying to complete this big quest is the same one you'll take when you're playing the investment banker, trying to rush through the floor as quickly as possible before the downsides of your quest come to bite you in the ass. I strongly recommend the traits Teleport Happy and GPS when playing this character, since they make the annoying requests of your musician friend easier to fulfill, since trying to run around the floor during a disaster is pretty hard to do, especially when the ATM you're looking for is an unknown variable at an undesignated location on a procedurally generated floor. But with these traits, you can just teleport to it regardless if there's a disaster going on or not. Oh, and remember how I said that the cloning booths are effectively useless in terms of increasing the number of followers you have, since your musician friend counts as a follower, so unless you end up getting a trait that enhances your follower cap, you can't really go to the cloning machine to get more of those? Yeah, this also means that friend phones are completely useless to you unless you end up getting the right trait. Which, given how you have no way of controlling exactly what traits you have other than just trying to swap them out at an augmentation booth over and over again and hope you get the shirt you want before you run out of money, yeah, you can't really count on having that happen in your favor. However, the best advice I can give anyone who wants to complete the Bouncer's big quest is this. Sometimes when your musician dies, it's best just to leave them dead while you go about the floor to complete your mission objectives before moving on. This is because the big quest only keeps track of how many times your musician friend died, not how long they stay dead. This can be especially helpful if you don't actually need to stray too far away from the corpse of your musician charge, since, realistically speaking, you don't take damage whatsoever from your electro tether vest as long as you stay within a certain radius of the musician. This means that, realistically speaking, if your musician friend died fighting security next to a mission objective, it's best just to deal with the security, pick up the objective, then resuscitate the musician friend. All in all, I give the Bouncer an annoying side quest out of 10. This is a character you play if you're looking for a challenge. If you're trying to make your runs easier, you're going to want to look somewhere else. The Stomp ability can be quite fun and is a useful crowd control ability to keep your charge alive. However, the inconveniences caused by having to bodyguard a suicidal musician is simply outclassing any beneficial traits this character has by a wide margin. That's all for now, though. Be sure to like the video if you did, comment anything important I might have missed down below, subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video I upload. I've been Ian, you have been you, and this has been the Streets of Rogue character guide to the Bouncer. And stay tuned, the Courier is coming up next.